Good evening. Um, well, today, of course, it was Cox Plate Day in Melbourne, and the meeting in Sydney was at Rosehill. Well, as usual, the swagger meetings, like Wyong is on tomorrow. Fancy Wyong, but this Sunday racing drives you mad. Now, during the week, of course, we had on Wednesday at the Kensington Grand Week, we're on the Kenzo track. We had a meeting, and there were no leaders won on Wednesday on the Kensington track. The wind, well, for a start, the track was good. The rail was 3 metres out, and the wind was out of the northwest. When they were coming down the side, whether the wind had something to do with it, I think it did, and possibly close up on the fence could have been a little bit inferior. As I say, no leaders won. The closest leader got to winning all day, well, I think it might have been in the, well, it was in the last race that won. The winner in a very close finish. 3 of them hit the line together. Well, between the first 4 place getters, there was only 0.9 of a length. It sat outside the leader, Forget. It led on the fence, Letchworth. The winner, Forget, sat on the south side. It won by a nose. And the distance race, of course, I think there was an 1800 metre race. Where did the winner sit there? No, Dreamfolk. Well, it came from midfield off the fence, hooking off heels. No, it was the closest. The horse who sat outside the lead in the last race, closest runner all day to actually greet the judge. So when doing the form there, of course, you will have to allow for those who are on the fence, and especially leading, you'll have to give those an extra little tick. Now, then we went to Hawkesbury on the Thursday. The rail was, the track was good. The rail was normal. There was a very, very strong wind out of the southwest coming across the track, and it didn't seem to. They ran into it down the back straight, but it still didn't stop leaders from getting home. The wind did ease towards the end of the day. As I say, it was very, very strong for the first part of the program, and then gradually eased to a stiff breeze by race 8, and the track played towards those who were up near the lead having an advantage at Hawkesbury on Thursday. Then we went to, of course, Canterbury last night. Now, this track was given out good. The times were good, and the rail was in the normal position. I went there thinking the fence would be the place to be, but it wasn't. The fence at Canterbury last night, now whether with all the hot weather that we had and the drying conditions with the wind, whether they poured a lot of water onto this track and it got down to the inside section near the rail, or I don't know. But what I do know is there wasn't a leader to win all night, and there were 1 or 2 runners that made up ground along the fence, hooking off heels that never got beat far, but still they didn't get home. For instance, in the last race, Al Dafra never left the fence until late in the piece. It was last on the fence, railed inside a lot of runners, and finished up running second, whereas the winner was off the fence all the way, commission. And very surprisingly at Canterbury, if you were on the, especially leading on the fence was not the place to be, and there were 2 very short price favourites that were in the red. The first runner, first favourite Leslie's Choice, it started a 55 chance, and it led on the fence and just got beat. And of course there was another runner that finished up, well, it pulled up with a heart attack deadline. It led, that most probably had something to do with it. And of course there was another runner, I've got the looks, had barrier 1. It finished up running last. It was a $1.70 chance. So it was very easy to see the fence was terrible at Canterbury last night on the 25th of October, which was very surprising. Oh, no more for the favourite, please. Is that you, Caroline? No, I've had an absolute blackout, and I'm doing this stupid review right at this very moment. There's my beautiful daughter Sally I'm talking to. Now, how did you go? I've had an absolute blackout. I'll give you a ring after I do this. All right. All right. Bye. All right. Bye. Now, then we, of course, we got to Rosehill today, and just the opposite from last night at Canterbury. At Rosehill today, as it turned out, the fence was dynamite. We had a good, you wouldn't feel it in the betting ring, but there was a very strong southeasterly breeze blowing. If in a couple of distance races the leaders ran into them, but it didn't stop, what was its name? It didn't stop Mulliquin leading all the way in a very slowly run race. And if you were on the fence today, where nearly all of the winners were, it was a huge advantage. A couple of very long price runners were able to find the lead and hold on. There were only 2 winners. Well, there were 8 races, of course, and 4 leaders got home, and the 2 other winners were behind the leader on the fence. And then we had the 2 runners that weren't on the fence that won were in the 3rd race. We had Quayside, who sat in 5th position and got a split in between runners turning for home. It wasn't that far off the fence. And of course, in race 7, we had Green Beret sit outside the leader and get home. So it was completely different to Canterbury last night. With the track was good today. The rail was 6 metres out. Oh, excuse me, Godfather. The old Pooty. I'll tell you about Pooty in a minute. I told you I gave him the flick, but he's back on, don't you? I'll tell you. You're going to fall over when I tell you who he's getting on with. He bets in billions. Anyway, today, as I say, the track was on fire, leading towards horses on the leading or on the fence. In the first race, very skinny figures here all day for the captains. Cox Plate Day, and I'm telling you now, it was hopeless in the betting ring. The first race on the screen, they said 101.6. We only got to 95% in the marketplace, and well, for instance, I can see, say about 3% straight away. In number 1 here, unencumbered, they said the best fluck was $4.80. Well, there was $5.50 on the fence. A blind man get $5, and it was $5.50 when they jumped. And it sat outside the leader, Sheer Style, who finished up running second. The winner of this race, Bowl Circle, who of course was wide in its only run and had the race experience. Numbers 1 and 2, the only runners that had the experience, had a start each. Unencumbered had won. And Bowl Circle, of course, was wide. And there was another runner that was trapped wide in the same race it went around, which came out and won. It made the form look good. And of course, there was a runner that finished behind unencumbered at Randwick that wasn't a bad run after copying a bad check, went around in the first race at Flemington today and even though it was wide with cover, and it went didn't find the line strongly, which didn't lean towards unencumbered's chances in the first race at Rosehill. It was off the fence, I suppose, and it only ran third, only beaten 3/4 of the length. The winner here, it was held up, Bowl Circle, trying to get a run. There's not much of this 2-year-old, and when it did get clear, it wasn't entitled to round the other pair up, and it ducked out in the straight as well, losing ground. So even though it did have the advantage of being on the fence, but it was held up, and also, as I say, ducked out. So its win was fairly good. If you run that race over again, there wouldn't be the $3 on offer about a Bowl Circle. It would start a lot shorter. In the second race, this was in the winner here. This was a big result for the captains because this favourite didn't have a name, Chateau Le Fay. We put it up a 5-4 on chance. You'll take your 5-4. It was $1.80 out to, you wouldn't see it, only 5. I think the best luck was $2.35, $2.40 when they jumped on the fence, and it was a little bit similar to the first winner. He was held up. He was behind the leader on there's only a field of 5, held up behind the leaders turning for home. And when he got clear and balanced up by Father Schofield, and congratulations to his son Schofield winning the Cox Plate, of course. Anyway, Chateau Le Fay, once it balanced up, it was able to round up the leader who had the advantage of the bias, Foreign Prince, and beat it by about a neck on the line. And as I say, it was a good result for the captains. They backed, it was $1.80 out of $2.40. But what was backed in this race, because these were the flux, $1.80 out to $2.40. Well, for a start, I never told you, 98.1 on the screen. They were screaming, the robots in the grandstand. They were saying, "What are you captains down there doing to us? What are you doing? We'll call the coppers on you again." 95% only in the marketplace. $1.80 out to $2.40, $6 out to $7. You wouldn't see it. Forget Maybe, easily get $7. Best Flux $6. Forget Maybe was $26 into 19. Raunchy Rocker more or less didn't have a price. $3.80 out to $4.60, and the bottom one here, Foreign Prince, it was $6.50 out to $8. You know, 95 we gave, and the favourite got the cash. Race 3, there was only 101 on the flux screen on the for the robots. Oh my God, that was, excuse me, this pooty blue. I said to him, he came, he said, "Please." I said, "Look, I tipped you well. I told you it was unbeatable. I know you had 10 billion on it." I said, "Now, who bet you, how can you get 10 bill on something?" He said, I said, "I know you're the man to do it." "Who was it? Was it the cage?" He said, "No." I said, "Who was it?" He said, "There's only one person who let me on who bets that big." I said, "Oh, well, come on, come clean." He said, "It was Obama." I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Oh." He said, "Yes." He said, "The septics," he said, I had 10 billion to 4 billion on with him, and the septics wouldn't even know it was missing. Anyway, he has handed over. I said, "Well, you got to send some section down." You know what it is? Yes, I know what the section is. Anyway, until some section arrives, he has no more Pooty Blue. I've told him that. Until some section arrives, I've told him I'm going to tip him. I've got a thing coming up shortly. It'll win with a leg in the air. That should get him in. Anyway, race 3, Quayside, it was off the fence. In this race, 101.4, as I said, only 95% in the marketplace. The winner, $8.50 taken about Quayside towards the end of betting to start $8, a 7-to-1 chance. It was a funny betting race because everything seemed to, well, of course, had a price at some stage, because we only bet 95%, but this winner sat in 5th position, and it led Rutherglen, the top weight, had the advantage of the leading on the fence, but it finished up running second, well, it ran last, beating 12.3 lengths, so its run was fairly ordinary. A little bit of use was made of it to get to the lead, but it held on fairly poorly. The winner, as I say, sat 5th, turned for home, got a split in between runners, and went away and won by 1.8 lengths, coming from last down the outside, coming the widest on the turn. So I suppose its run wasn't bad, was best of the rest, and it wasn't. They didn't forget to back it. It was $26 into $14 taken, best of the rest. These were the flux: $4.20 out to $5 Rutherglen, Abasso $3.50 out to $5 back into $4.80. Super Villain, who sat outside the leader, $3.50 out to $4.20. You wouldn't see it. I think $3.80 was the best flux. Started $4. Star Wars. Now, this runner, Star Wars, it's finished up running 3rd, beaten 2.1 lengths. Its run was most probably the best run of the race. It sat 3 wide when they hit the first bend in that short run to the first turn at Rosehill. Star Wars had barrier 8, and unfortunately for Josh Adams, he was unable to get in, and he sat 3 wide the entire journey, moved up to the leaders turning for home, being beaten only 2.1 lengths. If it slotted in or would have had an inside alley, I would have to say this runner would have won for sure. Its run was very, very good. It was $8 into $6.50, very well backed. The winner Quayside, we put it up $6 out to $8.50, taken towards the end of betting. Told you about best of the rest. A pony into 14 taken. Devil Miss 25 out to 31, and 70 out to 101 Marlow. We got to race 4. Now in race 4, Mulliquin, the stablemate to the favourite, he had how many runners did Waller have in this race? He had 4 runners in the field of 7. 4 out of the 7. That's right. And Peter Snowden had a runner, and John Hawkes, the Hawkes team, had another runner, and Rick Price had another one. So did Waller have 4? Yes, he had 1, 2, 3. Yes, he had 4. Mulliquin taken straight to the lead today. Now, he got a very, very easy time in the lead, Father Schofield, which was an advantage. And when he got before the turn, when he started to click it up, it bounded, it took a little bit of a leap in the air, and he got it rolling. And once it got its momentum up, it kept on going, and it beat Windbender, who was in the 1-1 position, a stablemate, by 1.5 lengths. The favourite, it was on Windbender's back and couldn't get past it. It finished up running 4th, beat 3.2 lengths. And in this race, they said there was 103.3 on the screen. There was only 99 in the marketplace. The flux were 10 out to 21, didn't have a price, Eulalona. So there's 5% out the window. Marden, $8.50 into $7.50. The favourite, multilateral, we put it up a 6-4 chance, out to $2.70, back into $2.40, but back out to $2.50 at the finish. The winner, now you wouldn't, the best fluck about the winner was $5, 4 to 1. Blind Man could have got $5.50. It did start $6 on the fence. A little bit of difference. Anamoso, who had every possible chance, tucked in behind the leader on the fence. It was $5 out to 6, 30 out to 51, too high tech. And Windbender, after opening at 7, was $9.50, was taken back into about $8.50. Skinny figures, the winner, even though the winner got out to start $6, at one stage, the winner, early in betting, The $5.50 was killed for, and the $5. You couldn't get it on one board at one stage. It was into $4.80, but as I say, got back out to start 6 after the favourite was backed. Had the advantage of the lead. Race 5, 100. Now, I was starting to get fat now. 106.1 on the screen. Only 100, a neat 100 in the marketplace. We played Swy with the punters, but we got the result. We got the result. Who won this race? She's a Girl. It was taken straight to the lead, which was the place to be today. It came across from barrier 7 in a field of 8, and was able to lead easily and have a little bit of a picnic up in front with the 3 kilos off for Luke Grace. Only carried the 51, and chasing it was Chatham House from barrier 1, having more or less every possible chance. It loomed up to it after straightening, looked like it would go straight past it, but Chatham House couldn't, and it was very hard to lay. We put up a $3.50 chance. Chatham House got out to $4.80 taken, back into start $4.60. The top fluck, about one runner here, Sweet Talkin' Woman, was only $6, a 5-to-1 chance. You could get $7. Mile is $6.50, but $7 if you were a fairly ordinary shopper. Actually, I gave $7. The top fluck about Pendulum was only $3.80, and there was $4.20 given on the fence about it. So, you know, you can see where the difference is in the 6% they said was the top fluck. And Pendulum, it was on the fence, 3 back on the fence from barrier 3, and unfortunately, when they turned for home, he looked for a run. The leader didn't get off the fence at any stage. She's a Girl. When Chatham House moved up on its outside, there was no room inside for Pendulum to go, and he finished up having to hook or go in between Gold Epona and Chatham House. Had to shoulder his way clear. He was only getting wound up when the race was all over. If he would have got clear turning for home, but he did have an advantage of being on the fence, it would have most probably won. It ran second, beaten 0.8 of a length. But She's a Girl, who was $13, a 12-to-1 chance, out to, you most probably wouldn't see it, $18 on the fence, and started that price. It was able to find the lead, the place to be today, and hold on and give the captains a very good result. Then we got to race 6, and very similar. This was taken straight to the lead, Zephron, by roving Robert Thompson, trained by the Hawks. It had one start up in here at Gosford, I think it was, Zephron, and very similar to the last winner, and about winning by about the same margin. It was able to lead, and sitting on its outside was Capital Commander, who leads at every time it nearly goes around. Capital Commander. It wasn't taken to the lead today by Killer Kath O'Hara, sat outside the lead, and on its back in the 1-1 position was the sensationally backed Capital General Life, and the margins were 0.3 by 0.4. The winner had the advantage of being on the fence, held Capital Commander at bay, and also General Life down near the line, to give the captains another very good result. After opening up at $17, we got it out to $31, Zephron, and it got the cash for the Satchel Swingers. Landing, it was a little bit hard to lay, although they did take $4.20, but it started that price. It was $3.50 out to $4.20, taken in back into $4, but back out to $4.20 towards the end of betting. How do we only get, well, did I tell you, 101.3 in the screen, 99 in the marketplace. The flux went very quickly. $6.50 out to $9.50, back into $9 Choice Pro. Tromso, you wouldn't see it, I gave $16. It was 12 out to 16, back into 14. Landing, $3.50 out to $4.20, back into 4, started $4.20. Ramsey's Curse, 26 out to 31, back into 21. Astro Avalanche, 30 out to 60. Reunite, well backed, 8 out to 10, back into 8. Capital Commander 850 into 750 at one stage, but started 850. General Life, now you wouldn't see it, but $3.70 was given about this runner. Only started $2.90, and the winner, as I say, was 17 up to 31. Got the bias in its favour and led all the way. Race 7, 107.4 on the screen, a good 6 less in the marketplace, only about a 101%. And here's one runner I can see straight away where there's a difference in the flux. Of course, net worth. The top flux net worth was $14, a 13 to 1 chance. Well, I was $20 when they jumped, $21, and there was $21 on the fence on at least one other board as well. And it led on the fence and had the bias in its favour. So, it led all the way at Warwick Farm. But today, even though it had the advantage of leading on the fence, its run was only ordinary. This was the other leader, winner that sat outside, that didn't sit on the fence, and that was Green Beret. $13 given about Green Beret, only started 10, and it was a good strong win. Of course, it led on the fence Green Beret at Warwick Farm last start, where it was quicksand, and the Stipes said after their vet looked at it, its heart was pumping a little bit too quick, and they said it had that heart arrhythmia, whatever they call it. And it was a different horse today, sitting outside the lead, up near the lead, the place to be, and was able to hold on and beat a runner called Tahitian Black, who was third on the fence and got inside the leader net worth. So it had all the favours from an inside alley. It had barrier 2. And the horse that ran third in this race, I would have to say, was by far the best run. We're talking about Californian Storm. It was 3 wide from the get-go, from barrier, whatever it was. I think it had barrier 8. And it was 3 wide, moved up to be outside the leaders turning for home. And the margins were only 0.2 by 0.4. So if it would have drawn inside and been able to see outside the leader or lead on the fence, it no doubt would have got home. The favourite in this race, Monobolastic, it was kicked by another runner behind the barrier, inspected by the vet and allowed to start. Now, what we put it up a 2 to 1 chance, 2 to 1 the field. It got out to $3.70, which it started, by the way. You wouldn't see it. $3.50, I think, would be the best luck. But after it got out from $3 out to $3.70, it was back into $3.10, no better at one stage, but got out right towards the end of betting. Easy to get the $3.50, but there was $3.70 on the fence. It had barrier 1. It was on the back of Tahitian Black, nowhere to go along the fence. He had to ease off heels Jovial Josh Parr, and it went to the line only ordinary. Whether the kicking, the barrier had affected it or not, we'll never know, but it ran a fairly ordinary race. What else do you say in that race? That's about it. California Storm, as I say, was trapped 3 wide, whereas the winner was outside the leader. We got to the last race, 107.3 on the screen, about 4 less in the marketplace, and at least 3% difference here, or 2.5 or 3% difference straight away. You can see where with the winner, that's a good idea. Now, there's $3.30 given on the fence about this runner. Best luck is $3. It started only about a $2.80, $2.90 chance, and it was Heart Tester, ridden by the pumper. It early was ridden fairly hard to try and hold the lead, but that's a good idea. Had a little bit too much toe for Heart Tester, and was able to cross, find the 18 pence, and Heart Tester looked at it all the way, moved up to it after they'd straightened for home. Looked like, I suppose, it was going to, well, make it very interesting at least. But towards the end, the bias the leader had in its favour. That's a good idea. Most probably proved to be the difference between winning and losing, and there was 0.8 of the length between them when they hit the line. And as I say, there was $3.30 given about the winner. I laid it well at $3 and also at $2.80 for whatever you wanted. The opening favourite in this race, Hard Tester, it went up $2.50. It got out to $2.70, and they killed you for the $2.70 and the $2.60 and the $2.50 at one stage, but it started at a $2.50 chance, and they ran the Quinella, beating the others by over 4 lengths. But they had the bias in their favour, and which was fairly easy to work out. That was about the meeting. In that last race, well, of course, the 2 horses that came down the outside weren't bad runs, I suppose. Goldstone proved that its win last start wasn't most probably a fluke, because it was back in third last position off the track wide, or it might have had a bit of cover on the back of Barbell, who was wide, number 8, but it did come down the outside with the stablemate to the favourite, Disciple, and they made up ground down the outside, so their runs most probably weren't as bad as they looked. That was about the meeting. As I say, we've got a meeting on at Wyong tomorrow, so if you were betting today, I hope you had some luck. Good evening.